Hello, welcome, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. It's been a little while for me. I'm in my new space. It is a little bit reflective. Early reflections, late reflections being caught there because it is early days in this room. I just moved. It's going to be acoustically treated. It's going to look a little bit different. But I'm in the space. I wanted to do a new video, and I have a little bit of time left on my lunch break from when I'm supposed to be working. So let's just jump right into it. EastWest's Hollywood Choirs. This is the third time I'm actually making this video. I made this video once, and then I got an email from some people in the company. They're like, hold off, there's a bug, don't do it. And I was like, all right. And then I waited, and then I did the video again, and they were like, in that video, the second time, I was like, oh, I got the gold version, not the diamond version. The diamond version has like extra mic positions and all that stuff. It's kind of cool. And I was making jokes how I guess I'm just not worthy. EastWest doesn't want to give me like the fancy pants version. And then I got an email last night after I recorded that video that was like, hey, we just sent you the diamond version. Don't review the gold version. We realized we gave you the gold one. We want to give you the diamond one. Review the diamond one. So this is my third time making the video. So I have played with this library a lot. I'm very excited to talk about it. Hopefully this will be the last time I do this video. Anyway, Hollywood Choirs. Why is this an important release for EastWest? I just want to talk about this in the context of the company and of the scene now. So obviously, EastWest, Quantum Leap, EastWest, I'm not really sure. It's a mouthful either way. They have done this Composer Cloud thing, which is a great way to get people back onto the platform. I say back onto the platform because a lot of emerging composers maybe didn't grow up or, didn't grow up the sort of Vienna, EastWest sample libraries out there, so they might have grown up with UVI or Contact or whatever. There's a lot of other players on the scene. EastWest is no longer the sort of the big guy in the block anymore. So people have been waiting for a new offering from them because there's if you look at forums and all that stuff, there's this sort of opinion floating around that a lot of the sounds from EastWest, they're great and the sample libraries are awesome or whatever, but people want to use Contact. They want to use NKS. They want to, which EastWest says it is integrating with native instruments, by the way. But people are saying, EastWest have had these libraries out there for a long time. They sound great, but they've been out there, and we want the new stuff. We want new sounds. We hear those strings everywhere, and blah blah blah. So, the last couple of offerings from EastWest, I think the last one or the one before the last one was like Storm Drums 2, which is kind of composy, and then the last one was like some MIDI stuff with guitars. We could like play a guitar and affect like a gamelan or something or a trumpet. I'm not really sure, but this is like the first big release where it's like, media composers, we have you in our crosshairs. It's a really important release for them. It's a symbol, I think, of where the company's going, and it's a great, just a great way to be like, hey, here's what we've been working on. We are back for media composers. This is our brand new offering for you. So this is a really important release for the company, I think, culturally and symbolically and all that stuff. And I think in many ways they succeeded. There's a few issues that I have with the library, but we'll get to that at the end. But they're very sort of few and far between because this is an extremely well-recorded library. In some of the marketing, the EastWest people were talking about how the noise floor was so low when they recorded that they didn't need noise reduction software, which is used across every sample library out there. If you record something in a space, you're usually doing some noise reduction software afterwards before you get things loaded and scripted and all that stuff. Anyway, we didn't use RX. That's a new marketing line I haven't heard of before. Marketing is fun. So it does sound very beautiful. So let's just get into it right away, okay? So this is the interface right here. I just want to bring you over to the mixer for 1 second. If we go over here to the mixer tab, we're in play 6.1, by the way. We have this FX page, which is pretty cool. SSL obviously gave EastWest their blessing to model and use some of their sample some of their gear. We have this, the classic stereo bus compressor here on the bottom right, convolution reverb, which I believe is reflected in the player page too. A great EQ section and all the rest of it, amp simulator. So let's just go back. I just want to show you that because people don't often talk about that little component there. But we'll go to the player. We see the classic sort of layout here, the envelope, ADSR and hold, performance patches. We see the choir. This is the sort of bird's eye view, the simulation of the room where this choir was recorded, or maybe something close to it, where we see reflected in these numbers all the different mic positions. And you get, I think, 13 mic positions with the diamond version, which is what we're going to be talking about in this video. Stereo doubling here on the top right, reverb, convolution reverb, which was reflected in the effects page earlier. We can choose our impulse responses here. Comes preloaded with the St. Mary. over there, which sounds just fine to me. Turn it off and on here. Here we get a pretty elaborate mic setup where we can sort of pan things left or right, turn things up and down here. We can blend and mix different mic setups. I have it on mid right now, and that's to point out that we have a Neumann head that was used in this recording, so that's great for binaural stuff. If you're doing VR, you can create a really sort of immersive experience with the Neumann dummy head. It sort of reflects how, it's got two mics in the ears or whatever to sort of simulate, the experience from someone who is like in a room listening to the choir. In this case, Core Library. We have our surround mics over here, and those will load up hopefully, and the lights will turn on 12 and 13. The outriggers are here, 5 and 6, Decatree, and the spot mics, the close ones right there. So, but the real sort of crown jewel of this library is, in my view, the word builder, which is, I have to say, kind of tucked away and maybe a little bit hard to find. It doesn't really stand out for me from a UI perspective, but anyway, it's over here. You click it, and you get this don't get scared by this page. It's very elaborate, but it's very accessible. It's accessible, but it's deep, which is a sort of a thing that I use a lot when I do these sort of reviews, when it's merited. And in this case, it is. It is very easy to use, but if you want to get tweaky and play with it and sort of manipulate things and get very sort of granular, you can definitely do that. So how do we get words in here? Well, there's a few different ways. Also, English phonetics, Votox, what's going on? So you can type words in English. You can type words in phonetically using the phonetic alphabet. And this little plus and minus sign will reveal a kind of guide where you can, see how to best get, the consonant, the vowel, the word in using the phonetic alphabet. Using Votox is a bit different because you're using, I think, phonetic symbols, and they're again over here on the right if you just sort of open that little tab. Most people are probably going to be doing this. They're going to be going into English and they're going to write something like, I did not hit her, oh hi Mark. And then you can play that. Any fans of The Room will totally get that joke. If you have no idea what The Room is, go watch it. You can, of course, delete this, write something else, maybe a bit more traditional, like the end is near. What? That makes more sense. So the cool thing is if I type this in English, it will sort of translate it into phonetics and into Votox as well. Now, I think if you're going to be doing this, you're probably going to be using the English text editor to input language. And that is what I did. And then eventually I found myself going to the Votox using the symbol they have over here, just to sort of get the most reliable output of the word that I'm trying to have the library spit back and sing to me. Now, a great learning tool is to actually use the phrases to see how things should be written into this text editor. So over here, we have phrases, English, German, and Latin. I would say go with the English phrases just to see how best to, again, sound out these words. So, for example, let's pick a nice long one here. In the deepest cave of the darkest chasm, a creature awaits. So if I click on that, first of all, you'll see a number of things load up here in the time editor, which is one of the areas I have a bit of an issue with, namely a lot of people using trackpads for composing. Christian Henson is a mobile composer. He's with Spitfire and he's got his laptop. I've got my trackpad too. It could be just an issue that, EastWest needs to work out with Apple and Logic, or just, I'm not really sure. I'm not a developer, but the idea that I have to use these little bars to navigate the time editor is just sort of annoying. And also, we can zoom in or zoom out here. It just takes an extra second. I can't scroll around. I can't side scroll. I can't zoom and all this stuff. And it's just a little sort of minor annoyance of mine that I wish could be fixed. But again, it's probably something that EastWest just has to talk to Apple, and Apple probably doesn't want to talk to EastWest, or maybe the other way around, just to make this a little bit easier for the users. But you'll see that each vowel, or I guess the Votox here, if I highlight a word, let's actually just play this. So we get those nice S's at the end, which decay in a very natural way, which is kind of cool. So, but what I wanted to show you here were the crossfades. This is the secret sauce, really, of this product, which is what makes it so compelling and appealing to me, is that we don't have to worry about where we're going to put our crossfades. They're automatically put here for us. And I think EastWest calls these, they have like it'll take care of the crossfades, and they'll be like the perfect crossfades, they say in one of their videos. And I kind of believe it. We can enlarge these vowels right here by hitting the plus sign, or move them around, for example, if we want certain things to be stressed or elongated, blah, blah, blah. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, go down here. So we can totally change the delivery, really, of a word. So if we go and pick a smaller phrase, actually, something a bit more curt, just so I can get, to and from this pretty easily. So run, you fools. So, for example, if I want the F in fools, which we'll see here, Votox down below will represent each letter F-O-L-Z. If I want the F to be a little bit longer, I can move the O around. If I want the O to last a little bit less long and bring in the L over here, we can do that. It's just really easy to make our own crossfades if we need to. In this case, it's just one word. It's not a really big deal, but just to show you. So now we've made some changes over here to the delivery of fools. And by the way, if I just click on this word and press solo, we're only going to hear that word. So it doesn't really sound natural anymore. That's because I changed it. Just to show you that you can. Sounds like he has something in his throat. Now, to go back and undo these changes, again, it's really easy. Just go to undo. Right, and we'll just undo until we get to the the part of the word there. If I redo, we can probably bring that back in, and yeah, there we go. We can also reset the position to bring everything back to default, I believe. But it's just really intuitive that I can type a word in, see how it sounds, and then go in and look at these little guides, either in the phonetic alphabet or into the Votox, which gives me the phonetic symbols to get the best out of that word, to get the most out of that word, which is really impressive. And it's, again, the secret sauce here, the sort of built-in, I want to say DSP, but it's not really that, but I guess scripting, where we have the fades automatically applied, make it a really sort of no-brainer. Like, I don't want to spend too much time in this time editor, if mostly because I just hate having to use these little bars that they add to make things zoom and all that stuff. Maybe it's MIDI based, or I can maybe map it to some sort of controller or whatever. Even then, that's sort of an extra step that I don't really want to do. But anyway, really easy to use text editor, where you just get in and out really easily. And also, if you have another instance of Play open, you can just copy and paste this. For example, we have the men's choir open right now. If I have another instance of Play and I load the women's choir, I can just copy, Control C, copy this over, and paste it into the word editor and have both choirs singing it, which is really cool. So if you go back to Player, for example, I just want to show you a few different mic setups, because they're really gorgeous. I know I was joking a little bit about how, the recording for this, they're bragging about not having to use noise reduction or anything like that, but it really does sound beautiful. The storm is upon us. Let's find one that's a little bit, epic. A hero will rise. Let's do that one. By the way, if you have another phrase loaded into the text editor window and you add another phrase, they're both going to be there. So you'll have to, if you still want that phrase there, cool. If not, just delete it. I didn't do that last time. So what do we choose? A hero will rise. Let's hear that. That wasn't very elegant, but anyway, it's weird to do a video and play at the same time with fingers I wouldn't normally use. But we can, for example, blend the main mics and the close and the mid mics. Actually, I don't really want to do that. Let's do the surround and bring the surrounds down a little bit. Let those mics load up there. And let's also bring in the decatry, which I believe is the stage mic. And a couple of outriggers on the left and right too. Just let them load. I haven't loaded these into the RAM yet, I don't think, so that's why they're taking a couple of seconds just to situate themselves. My fingers are slipping. Sorry about that. Doing a terrible job of playing at the same time as I'm using the mod wheel. Let's bring in the close mics. Oh, lovely drilling sounds. Let's blend the close mics in a little bit just to get a really full sound. I'm going to bring up the surrounds a little bit and bring the stage mics back a little bit. It'd be really cool, EastWest, is if the lights on these guys dimmed a little bit as we brought the gain down on their individual sends here. But anyway, just a small thing. Really smooth crossfading between those different, I guess, performances. Not performances, but the soft, medium, hard. That's totally not the right terms for them. But when you manipulate the mod wheel, I'm staring at my mod wheel. Very, very nice, smooth transfer between those samples. So that's really cool. But anyway, I think on the whole, this was an extremely successful release. I think that the other issue that I wanted to mention, yeah, I'm remembering it now. So I do have issues with the word builder's time editor just being sort of scrollable. It kind of annoys me a little bit. Also, the lights would be cool if those lights dim down to just indicate visually that maybe some mics are a little bit more present than others. I'm into a lot of visual feedback for some reason. The other thing, and this is maybe just me, the marketing for this library, if I flip over to Safari over here, take a look. I mean, the marketing, this was teased for I think a few months, right? It just gave me the impression that this library would be, I don't know, maybe have an aggressive and a soft side or something, or, two worlds kind of coming together, maybe a distorted or whatever. When I saw this, just the angel and the demon, or angel and devil, I'm not really sure, male, female, it just gave, maybe I became a prisoner of my own hype with this library, but when I actually saw the library, I'm like, oh, it's just an awesome choral library with a really in-depth text editor. That's all it is. I thought there might be some sort of really insane effects engine, like a la, Novo, or trying to get Heaviosity, right? They're doing a lot of stuff like that where Punish, blah, blah, blah. And then when I realized it was just, another iteration, bigger and better of a choir, I was a little bit disappointed, but that's not really anything to do with the sample library itself. That was just me having a very different impression of what this meant. Obviously, I work for an audio company. We put a lot of thought and consideration into the marketing. So when I saw this, I just thought it told a very different story than the story of the actual sample library. But anyway, there is no light and dark switch or anything like that to sort of push the aggressiveness of the samples or anything like that. I mean, you could do that through any one of the effects, especially over here in the effects page, maybe distort stuff with the amp simulator. I don't know. But it's not a core component of the library, as, again, the marketing might suggest. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, but thanks very much for EastWest for sending this over. I think it'll make an incredible addition to your sample library, your gentleman's library of sample libraries. We all have quite a few, and the Composer Cloud makes this a very compelling and easy way to try this if you are on it for $30 a month, or however much it costs for you, depending on where you are in the world. So good job, EastWest. Very cool. And yeah, a really great symbol of progress in the company. And I think coming out with something like this, a lot of people are like, okay, what's next? This is really exciting. They're paying attention a little bit more to media composers, which is kind of cool. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. It's 1:00. I have to get back to work. Take care.